Would you rather make $150,000 a year and be miserable, or make $75,000 a year and be happy? I mean, because the world thinks you're all soft, entitled, spoiled little brats, right? That's a lot of money. The whole world thinks you take the 150. What gives? And the number one answer was, we saw our parents growing up and how they were treated. You can have your money. What's the point if you are miserable?
In those environments, it feels like I don't want to share anything. I don't want to get any thoughts out into the open. I don't want to share. I don't want to ask questions. So I want to work in a culture that I feel valued and I feel heard. And like, we're losing a lot of professional communication through AI. I think it can be used well, to maybe make some minor changes, but if people continue to rely on it like they are, especially for business and communication, it can be pretty detrimental.
If you get a job offer via email or just like information via email, but like something like that, like if I get a job and they want to let me know, I would much rather get like a phone call.
Right. I once walked into a senior vice president's office and I mentioned to him how morale is down. It's at its lowest level in 10 years. And he literally looked at me and said, morale is overrated, move on. Do you have anything else? Not only did my jaw hit the floor, but there's a business case for this. Hello everyone, welcome to the Now What podcast, episode 30. My name is Glenn Sharp. I'm the president and CEO of Sharp Leadership Development. Got another beautiful day in Cincinnati. If you tuned into episode 29, you saw my daughter Paulina and our friend Kaden do an episode, and the main theme was Gen Zs. So we're going to continue on that theme. This is going to be part 2. We're going to start to switch gears a little bit, and we're going to start to talk about the stigma out there in society and the way people think about Gen Zs, what they want in an organization, and then we're going to get into communication an awful lot. So I think it's going to be very interesting for you. I hope you enjoy it. Let's get right into it with Gen Z's part 2. Okay, so this concept that you guys see on the screen right now, this is called the jaws of culture. And it's an interesting concept that I use in culture shaping, but I really want to talk to you guys about culture, right? So what do I mean by culture? Because people define it 100 different ways, right? For me, it's what's it like working there? The environment. Is it fun? Like, for example, I used to be a district manager for Speedway back in the day, and I had 2 brand new stores. They were both raised and rebuilt. All right. So brand new equipment, brand new store, brand new everything. I went to one store and like, have you ever gone to someone's house and like they just finished fighting? You know what I mean? And like there's like that weirdness and you're like, what's going on? Everybody good? Mm-hmm. You know, like you can't really quantify it. It's weird, but you know it's there. When I walked into that store, that's what it was like. I called it the funeral store because I would tease them like, who died? Like, what is going on? And of course, what happened was the store manager came out from his office and he had a scowl on his face. He was slamming drawers and doors and stuff like that. It was ridiculous. I go to another store and I called it the party store because as soon as I like literally parked and walked up to the door handle, I started laughing. And the interesting part was, and I'm just being honest, what store do you think I visited more?
The fun one.
I did. And I'm responsible for both. And I visited the fun. And I'm pretty sure our customers visited the fun one more as well, based on their sales figures. And so that's culture. You know what I mean? And this particular concept here, the jaws of culture, if you have a poor culture, if you have a horrible culture, like the funeral store, you give them a suggestion, right? About, maybe we can do something better, things like that. And they just eat you up. You know what I mean? And that suggestion goes into those jaws that you see up there, and what comes out? Nothing, like hardly any results at all. Talk to me a little bit about culture and why it's important for you guys. I mean, do you agree that culture is really important when you enter a new company?
I mean, I've experienced poor cultures and I've experienced really good cultures. I've experienced cultures where, people are laughing, people are having fun, and it feels like I feel valued and like I'm having a great time, we're talking, we're sharing ideas. But I've also had a work environment where it's just like down, everyone's sad, just like the funeral store that you were mentioning. And in those environments, it feels like I don't want to share anything. I don't want to get any thoughts out into the open. I don't want to share. I don't want to ask questions. So I want to work in a culture that I feel valued and I feel heard and like people like me,
Yeah.
and that I'm not just a burden to them.
You spend a lot of hours at work. A lot of your awake weekday hours, you're at work. And so I like to, like in one of the first slides you had, prioritize my happiness. And I don't like the feeling of dreading going into work. And all I did was dread the next day.
Yeah.
And when I eventually went to the party store, I was stoked to go to work every day.
Yep.
Like I had friends, I loved my manager, and it was kind of like going to a friend's house or like something I could look forward to and not something that I had to just drag myself to.
But I once walked into a senior vice president's office, and I mentioned to him how morale is down. It's at its lowest level in 10 years. And he literally looked at me and said, morale is overrated. Move on. Do you have anything else? And this is proof. Like for that, not only did my jaw hit the floor, but there's a business case for this. Okay. So for example, Paulina, when you say like you dreaded going to that one store, the funeral store, what's the likelihood that you guys are going to be late or call off? Right? Or just throw up your hands and be non-productive? What's the likelihood that you're going to be in a side room somewhere complaining about your boss, or complaining, or out back having a smoke with someone, complaining about something? What are you not doing when you're doing all that stuff? You're not working. Mm-hmm. So efficiency levels go down, productivity levels go down, absenteeism goes up, and lateness goes up. It's amazing to me how many people don't get that. Right? And that's the reason why morale matters. That's the reason why culture matters. All right, so let's talk about the way you guys are viewed in the workplace. This is called the results cone, and it is read from the bottom up. So your thinking drives your behavior drives your results. The unfortunate reality in business today is people try to go after results, and it's literally the exact opposite way to success, right? You got to think a certain way. Once you change the way you think, your behavior follows suit, and then the results come. I don't know anyone who's successful who goes after results, right? Results are lagging indicator. They're a product of thinking and acting a certain way. Don't you think every generation thinks the same thing about the previous one? Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, what's the difference between you guys and everyone else? You grew up at a different time.
Since we were born with a cell phone in our hands, like we really were exposed to at a young age, like just calling and texting and all of that. So even like I recently reconnected with an old friend this weekend, and it was awkward because we had only been texting for a while.
Yep.
So when it's just getting job offers via email and even like virtual interviews and stuff like that, I went to a virtual interview, and when I showed up, it was 10 times more awkward because it's just not the same.
Obviously, just the increase in technology between our generation and other generations. And I think that there have always been things like innovations that have changed work and the way work is done throughout different generations, but technology is just really obvious. Like it's really easy to see how technology impacts communication in business and things like that. And I don't necessarily think our initial mindset changes. Like we still want to work hard and we still want to get things done and make change. It's just the way that we do it is different.
To get a job and to with Indeed and all these different websites, there's 100,000 different ways to get a job.
Yeah.
And it's just so oversaturated now that it's kind of overwhelming.
Even writing emails. I know a lot of friends who are also students at UC that when writing a professional email, they just put it into ChatGPT or whatever AI they're using and send that directly. And we're losing a lot of professional communication through AI. I think it can be used well, to maybe make some minor changes, but if people continue to rely on it like they are, especially for business and communication, it can be pretty detrimental.
Yeah. Communication, but also people in school who are training to be professionals. I mean, they can just put their essays and their work into ChatGPT and it'll just do it for them.
Yeah.
So that's a problem.
Yeah, it is a problem. Absolutely. So let's talk a little bit about UC. Okay. because I'm a professor. I'm down to one class, but I used to be a full-time adjunct there, and I used to ask my classes the following question. I just find it interesting, this question. I was shocked the first time I asked it because of the results, but I basically ask, would you rather make $150,000 a year and be miserable, or make $75,000 a year and be happy? And the average is 2. Average is 2. And the interesting part, what I want to talk to you guys about is the why behind it. I mean, because the world thinks you're all soft, entitled, spoiled little brats, right? That's a lot of money. The whole world thinks you take the 150. What gives? And the number one answer was, we saw our parents growing up and how they were treated. You can have your money. What's the point if you are miserable? And I know we touched upon this, but what are your thoughts on that? Because I just find that fascinating. I don't think a lot of people get that.
I feel like I have seen that a little bit in just like the public perception of Gen Z, and that Gen Z wants to find the easy way out, and like that we aren't willing to work for anything, but we just want to get the reward without putting in the work. And I haven't seen that too tangibly, but I do think that a lot of people think that, and I disagree entirely. Like I'm not surprised by the results of the study asking UC students that question, because people want to be fulfilled by their work, and they're going to work hard in a job that they are happy. So I almost guarantee that, if this was a real world situation, the people that are making $150,000 are not going to be working as hard as the people that are happy in their job making $75,000, because in work you want to be fulfilled and you want to feel like you're making a difference.
Yeah.
And that probably leads to happiness. So if you're happy, then you probably feel like you're doing fulfilling work.
If I don't completely love what I do, then I feel like I'm wasting my time a little bit, and I don't want to waste my time or my employer's time, or I would just much rather be fulfilled and make less money than make a whole bunch of money and be miserable.
But it's also for you guys as well. It's about loving what you do and being fulfilled, but it's also having some depth and some meaning behind your work, right?
I think that's what I mean by fulfilled. Like I want to feel like I'm making an impact in the world,
right? Not
just getting by.
Yeah. So that could mean, like, as a barista, making someone's day. And having the ability to, like, if someone, like a homeless person comes by, giving them a free coffee. Not that you're going to give away profits. Or, like, if you are, in business, you can actually make a difference if you're a manager in someone's life. Because so many people, like, the value that they place on work, it just follows them home. If they have a bad day or a good day, it affects their home life. You know what I mean? And I think a lot of people miss that fulfillment. Being able to make an impact, being able to say, I do this, right? And being proud to do that. I argue with people all the time, like, listen, if I took a random 10 people out of your high school class, random 10 people, how many people were idiots? How many people were unbelievably smart? And how many people right in the middle? And they usually say to me, I don't know, 1 or 2 people were really great, 1 or 2 people were really bad, and everyone else is in the middle. And my response to them is, how is that any different than today? Right? How is that any different than today? It's the same thing, right? And people think that we've changed so much. I don't think we've changed at all. I think there are people who are ambitious. I think there are people who are lazy, and I think there's a lot of people in the middle, right? And that's always been the case. Yet the stigma out there and the reputation of Gen Zs is just the opposite. It's 0 are ambitious, and 80% are lazy, entitled, little spoiled brats, and maybe there's a couple that actually we could sway. All right, so let's get into the topic of communication. I ask the question all the time, are we better at communicating today than we were, say, 50 years ago? What are your thoughts on the following concept? We have more ways to communicate, yes, but the one-on-one piece has eroded, and we really struggle overall as a society in regards to the one-on-one piece, that personal connection.
Communicating face-to-face and one-on-one has gotten a lot harder. Like it's very uncomfortable for people our age, for people that are Gen Z, because it's not what they're used to. Like I think, in-person interviews aren't as common anymore. So when you have one, it's like, whoa, what is this? I have to actually talk to someone
Right.
face to face and be in their presence, as opposed to doing it over Zoom or a virtual one. So I agree. I think face to face has gotten significantly more challenging because of the uncomfortability that comes with that. A lack of experience is definitely a big reason that it's not as comfortable. Being comfortable with talking to people or presenting in person comes with repetition and comes with experience.
Yeah.
And having so many other avenues of talking to people, like through texting or emailing or virtual interviews or virtual or calling even, has kind of disallowed people to gain that experience.
You have a lot more to think about when you're in person. You have to think about everything, as to when you're just online, there's no human connection. It's just you and a computer, and there's another computer and a person behind that computer.
Right.
But when you're in person, you have to think about your presence, your pretty much everything.
Yeah. Do you guys find, like I do, like there are, like how soon can you tell if somebody doesn't know how to interview? Let me give you an example. Somebody asked me one time, if you were an animal, what would you be? And my reaction was, that's the dumbest question I've ever heard in my life. Who cares? Like if I'm a white lion, does that mean I'm better than if I'm an ant who can drag it, what it is, 1,000 times its weight? You know what I mean? Like that's a dumb question. But I think like the art of the interview has waned as well.
My most recent interview was like that. It was another Zoom call, and it was probably the longest interview I've ever been on. It was almost an hour, maybe a little over 45 minutes. First of all, the very first question was just the most insane question I've been asked on an interview. It was like, what if you were an Avenger, a real life Avenger, what would your superpower be? And when I went to answer with like flying or something like that, he told me no, it had to be a trait that I already had. Sir, I'm not an Avenger.
Right.
I hope, I don't know where the confusion lies,
Yeah.
but that was a really weird one. I don't know how, that would decide if I was going to be a good employee or not.
Right.
But
Okay.
it was really weird.
Have you experienced a train wreck of an interview before?
I haven't really experienced a full train wreck as much as I've experienced some just like robotic interviewers
Okay.
who are like, I'm answering questions and I'm looking at their face and they're showing no emotion and they're just almost looking, waiting to ask the next question.
Yeah.
As opposed to, I've had a really good interview where it was very like personable, like we were just having a conversation. It didn't feel like we were rushing to get to the next question, but it was like they wanted to listen to me, and that was not at all what the bad one I had, the robotic one I had was like.
Here's an interesting concept, okay? So you guys will be surprised at this, I'm sure. I'm just going to say it, and then I'll just get your reaction. Email is evil. I'll repeat. Email is evil. Okay? And what do you think I mean by that?
It's very impersonal. Like I don't know if you're talking about if you get a job offer via email or just like information via email, but like something like that, like if I get a job and they want to let me know, I would much rather get like a phone call.
Right.
It's almost like easy to hide behind, I think, having the barrier of not having to see anyone's face. And you can spend like 30 minutes writing an email, as opposed to talking to someone. Like you have to say something. You can't wait 30 minutes to like respond to somebody.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You can't judge tone or context or anything like that, and can be misinterpreted. Email was never supposed to be the primary source of communication. It was always supposed to be secondary. Like if you guys worked for me, okay, I literally would come to your office, Paulina. I'd be like, what? And you go, what do you mean? Like, you making a face. What? What's with the face? Yeah, what face? And there would be no doubt that you and I are on the same page by the time I left there. Now, a lot of people think that's a waste of time. Like, you can't get on Zoom all the time, or you can't go to somebody's office all the time. And you can make fun of me all you want, but you and I are on the same page. I once read a 16-page email chain. Do you know how long it took to accumulate 16 pages? You know what I mean? And how many people went on vacation or just didn't get back to you? It was weeks versus just picking up the phone and calling someone. You know what I mean? And that's what I mean. Now, if we did have a conversation and we agreed on something, I would literally email you some bullet points. Hey, this is what we talked about. I would CC our boss, right? And be like, just as an FYI, that's all. It would be secondary. It's not primary. It would be like, yeah, that's right, that's right, yeah. But it saves me a bunch of time. And that's, some people might call it old school, but I just think there are certain core principles that never will go away. It doesn't matter if 50 years go by. You know what I mean? It's that connection. And then, oh, by the way, you and I develop a relationship, right? We develop a connection. You start to realize, hey, Glenn's a good dude. Like, he might have sent an email, but he didn't mean that. He didn't mean it like that. You start to make assumptions, positive assumptions about me. And it just snowballs from there. Okay, so thank you guys very much. I appreciate it. I mean, hopefully the audience has gotten a little bit of an idea of not only that I'm not full of it and that you guys actually do think this way, but just kind of get you a little bit of insight, get them a little bit of insight into just kind of how you guys think. Because I could be talking to two 50-year-olds, to be honest with you. It's the same principles, you just have a different spin on it, a different way of looking at it. Okay, guys. Well, I hope you enjoyed that, our journey with the Gen Zs. I know I did, and thank you again to Paulina and Caden. That was terrific. If you are new to the podcast, you probably have noticed that the name of the podcast follows my book, Now What? This is the journey of me and Johnny. Johnny is a brand new manager of people. He was an amazing mechanic, and he got himself promoted because he was such a good mechanic, but he doesn't know how to be a manager. So this is me coaching Johnny over a 4-month period in order to get him on a level playing field with his peers. So if you have an aspiring manager, or if you are brand new to management, it is definitely a great book for you. It is full of tips, tricks, and techniques for you to really get going as a manager. So it's available on Amazon, Kindle, and paperback, obviously, in my hand. So take a look and go ahead and order it. All right, so now that we have concluded our series with the Gen Zs, we're going to get back to the coaching questions. In episode 31, we're going to field a question from Joe in Tampa. So Joe got his butt promoted, and he is now a VP. Now this is a whole new issue for him, and he is going from a small organization to a large organization. He's got a lot of moving parts. He's going to be focusing on his directors, and he does not know what to do first. All right, so this is an overwhelming situation. We're certainly going to give him advice and go over some of the things to really look at. So we look forward to that. I think you guys will really enjoy it. Thank you guys for tuning in. I wish you all the best of luck in your management and leadership journey, and I'll see you in episode 31.